George Osborne has welcomed the latest growth figures, but something else has happened that's left rather a dent in the Chancellor's coffers, and that is that the EU has demanded that Britain pays an extra £1.7 billion.
Of course, in an organisation like this, if your economy grows a little faster or your economy grows a little slower, there are adjustments. And there can be adjustments every year. And we've seen them. Sometimes you pay a little bit more, sometimes you pay a little bit less. But it has never been the case that a €2 billion bill has suddenly been presented. And it is not acceptable. It is an appalling way to behave. I'm not paying that bill on the 1st of December. If people think I are, they got another thing coming. It is not going to happen.
For the last couple of decades, Britain has voted against 72 measures in the European Council and been defeated 72 times.
On June the 23rd, 2016, the UK will be holding a referendum asking this particular question: should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union? So what is Article 50? Article 50 of the Treaty on European Union allows a member state to notify the EU of its withdrawal and obliges the EU to try to negotiate a withdrawal agreement with that state. It involves 5 points. Point 1 is any member state may decide to withdraw from the Union in accordance with its own constitutional requirements. Number 2, a member state which decides to withdraw shall notify the European Council of its intention. In the light of the guidelines provided by the European Council, the Union shall negotiate and conclude an agreement with that state, setting out the arrangements for its withdrawal, taking account of the framework for its future relationship with the Union. It shall be concluded on behalf of the Union by the Council, acting by a qualified majority after obtaining the consent of the European Parliament. Number 3, the treaties shall cease to apply to the state in question from the date of entry into force of the withdrawal agreement, or, failing that, 2 years after the notification, unless the European Council, in agreement with the member state concerned, unanimously decides to extend this period. Point 4, the member of the European Council or of the Council representing the withdrawing member state shall not participate in the discussions of the European Council or in decisions concerning it. Point 5. If a state which has withdrawn from the Union asks to rejoin, its request shall be subject to the procedure referred to in Article 49. Now, during the 2-year negotiation period mentioned, EU laws would still apply to the UK. The UK would continue to participate in other EU business as normal, but it would not participate in internal EU discussions or decisions on its own withdrawal. On the EU side, the agreement would be negotiated by the European Commission, acting by a qualified majority after obtaining the consent of the European Parliament. If the final agreement cuts across policy areas within the preserve of the member states, such as certain elements of services, transport and investment protection, it will be classed as a mixed agreement and require additional ratification by every national parliament in the EU. EU treaties would also need to be amended to reflect the UK's departure.